Christian here from CK Wraps. We've got a Mercedes, brand new actually, 2017 Mercedes GTS, pretty nice car. My client wanted to wrap this vehicle just to protect the paint, and just wanted something a little more flashy but kind of sleek at the same time. So we're using Avery Dennison SW900 satin pearl white. Super popular color. This is actually one of the most popular colors probably by far, along with satin black. So it's going to look really nice. It's going to look like silk when it's done. We're going to show you how to wrap this fender. This is a really long fender. This fender is about 70 inches long and pretty much 30 inches from top to bottom. So it's very close. What I've done is taken a 70-inch length material and I folded that in half to 30 inches for two fenders. So we save a little bit. It may not work out, but I'm actually pretty confident that it will. It may not work out for you if you're new at this because it'll be a little bit more difficult without having the extra film to play around with on the bottom or the top. So this car is actually made out of aluminum, majority of it. This is not magnetic, so we cannot use magnets. So we need to actually figure out another way on how to get the vinyl to adhere while we position it. It's not that difficult. I believe the only part of this car is that's actually magnetic is the trunk. So we've actually cut our piece already to size. I've taken isopropyl alcohol to the entire surface, wiped around every edge, every recess, every crevice. We've removed some of the parts off of this. Obviously the vent here on the side makes things a little bit easier to work with. It's not easy to work around these things, so we just want to make sure that we're being thorough, and that's it. So these things come out really easily if you happen to be wrapping one of these by any chance. 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, grill pops out. So what we're going to do here is get our material in place. Now we're doing this alone. Remember, we're always doing this alone. If we had 2 people, we'd have 1 person on each end to make things a little bit easier. So we need to make sure we have full coverage from this end and this end over here. And making sure that we're pretty much right at the seam on the bottom here, which we are. So we're going to pull back some of this film, and I'm leaning on the car right now. And actually slide this down a little bit more. Okay. I stuck that to the door, and over here I'll stick this to the fender. This is completely repositionable. This is Avery. You don't have to worry about this like chrome, and I know you guys have seen a lot of chrome videos because I do a hell of a lot of chrome. So this will be a little bit nicer to work with, a lot easier in the end, that's for sure. So we're going to take the material. We don't have to be as gentle when we remove the vacuum paper as we would with chrome. So rolling it off is always nice. So we'll roll the material off. It helps not crease it. And I want to show you something. Look at this. This material doesn't stick to the paint. This is pressure sensitive. Now it's stuck. Take it off. Again, just slides around. This makes your life a hell of a lot easier. You can reposition this film in any way you want without damaging it, and without it sticking. So one of the really nice features about having Avery is that. So, like I said, we get this into position, make sure we're covered on the top, make sure we're covered on the bottom, and we are. As with all films, we'll end up glassing this. Much easier to glass this than it is chrome. I stuck it down on the bottom there, I stuck it down on the top. Because I can't use magnets, I have no reassurance, so I have to pull gently. I can always use a little bit more and stick it down there, but I'm pulling gently so we shouldn't be too concerned about lifting off. Done. Let's get this in position. We're covered on the top. And we're going to glass this film using next to no heat, because this is just how easy it is. as you can see, I'm pulling nice even tension all the way through. So we want these fingers right here running horizontally. The reason being is now we can correct these by pulling down and or up. So for anything down here, kind of from this point on, we'll pull down. We're going to make sure we're stuck down right there. From this point up, I'm going to use one hand. Look at this, one hand. One hand, no heat. Okay? This means right here that I'm not overstretching the film. You add heat, you have a chance to overstretch the film. Amazing, it looks fantastic. It looks like it's wrapped already. I haven't even touched it with a squeegee yet. Trim out this excess. Be careful not to cause any damage. Got a little bubble right there, but that just goes away. And voila. So, we're glassed. Again, we always start on a hard body line and work our way up or down from that body line. This is that hard body line. We're going to follow it through right to the fender and squeegee up and down. We just ordered Chinese food, so I think it's here. So I let you know there might be an interruption. So again, working from that body line up, keeping your squeegee on a nice angle. I did remove the headlights, there's no need. This fender is super thin. They're obviously going for lightweight, so these fenders all these panels are very thin in metal. So I got a bubble here, just gonna push down on it, and that's gone. This won't take very long at all. This is a very quick process. I'm going to show you how to do these corners afterwards, as soon as I'm finished squeegeeing. Because nice corners are very important. You'll notice I'll hold the film up as I do with chrome or anything else. Allows the air to release just that much faster. I don't have to worry about anything getting bunched up or any small bubbles and stuff like that. So. Mainly we're just getting everything into position. And then once we get everything into position, we go ahead and do the corners. Okay. Always be as thorough as you can. So I have a recessed area here right around this vent. Should be using a wrap glove. So I can work, again, a hard body line here. You can follow that right out. We can work the air into the vent. Again, here and here. So the vent is pretty much done. We just have to cut it out afterwards. Take the rest of this air and squeegee it all out to the bottom. And you'll notice I had it very close here to the seam where the fender meets the rocker panel, or the side skirt, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to make sure everything's nice and relaxed, because this is just how we do it. It's nice and thorough and long lasting. missed some right here, so I'll just push down. And you'll notice that you may miss some spots if your squeegee isn't flexible enough, because we're getting into these contours right here. So we got to make sure we're being extra thorough when it comes to all of these contours. So now that we're at the bottom, finish off with our finger right there, and then we're going to tuck everything into this. All right, sorry, we had a small interruption. Chinese food called. I'm starving. It's pretty late here right now. All right, so we're going to take this film, we're going to tuck it in to the recess really nicely. And the tape is there to ensure that the film slides off into that recess. Perfect, perfect. All right, while I'm down here, I might as well get rid of it. So we're going to be very careful here. And with the tip of the blade, and I use a 30-degree blade, it's going to be right in that recess. Very slowly, let the blade do the work. Right out to the end, and then we'll finish this off over on this side. Cool. That piece is finished. I'll go over it with our squeegee, and it's nicely tucked away. Now we have to finish off this flat part of the fender, which I haven't squeegeed out yet, but I just did. There's still a little bit of air in there. I grabbed my wrap glove while the Chinese food was coming in. So we have a corner here. Not too important, it goes underneath the headlight, so not that big of a deal. We're going to start from this top area here and work it in slowly. Then once we get to a certain point, right about here, I'm going to take the back of my blade and run it on the back side of the fender. Okay. Go over with our finger. And get rid of that piece right there. So now we have slack here, which is good because we kind of want this, because there's a bit of a hump in this fender. So we have to lay it into this hump. So we're going to lay it in, not stretch over it, because it will bubble out. And now that that's done, I'm going to trim it off again on the back side. Perfect. Finish off the rest of this excess right here. Make sure we always go over it. This won't so much need a post heat as other films because we haven't really stretched it. So now I've got to finish off a couple of other areas around the headlight and this bottom section here. So I'm going to leave about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch under here. I'm going to trim this off. And I'm going to go over the headlight here. So we've masked the headlight, so I know I've actually masked it twice with 2 layers, just in case. Okay. Let's get rid of the excess film. Again, we're being very careful not to cut anything. Okay? So, we've got to make this corner nice down here. So we pull, pre-stretch around it. What we can do is we can take heat and shrink it back afterwards, or we can just cut it. It's going to pre-shrink back anyways, so we're not too worried about that. And the way I'm going to do around the headlight, is I noticed that the fender is only a certain thickness. So these are actually super thin fenders, as I mentioned before. So we don't really have a lot of coverage on the inside here. So I can actually trim on the back side of the headlight. And there'll be enough, more than enough to cover all of that fender. So it's obviously paying attention to the project that you're working on and how in depth you need to go as far as the wrap goes. Some require you going a little bit further in. I need a new blade, sorry. This thing doesn't want to pop out. Okay. Let's get rid of that. So, because that blade wasn't very sharp anymore, so very gently using the back of the headlight with the back of the blade. Okay. Perfect. Again, this part of the fender, pull it back a little bit, we can pre-stretch it. Get the air out. And this corner will forever be beautiful. Because if you look at that right there, that thing is just mint. And that is before I've cut. So I have to finish off the top part right here. I've got more than enough material underneath, as I mentioned, super thin fenders, and you'll see exactly how thin these things are once I cut. Come around this side because I'm right-handed. Okay. Let's get rid of that piece. And you can see just how thin that fender is, so super thin. Back of the blade on the back side of the fender. Very gently. Gets a little awkward sometimes because of things like the hydraulic holding up the hood right now. So sometimes I have to switch it up and go the opposite way. So get rid of this piece. We can go over this right now with our fingers, making sure that everything is nice and smooth. So you might ask why I didn't leave a lot of film to tuck underneath. We don't need to. And what it's going to do is going to cause a problem when it comes to removal. When it comes to removal, we don't want to have a lot around this edge. I didn't stretch it a lot. There's no reason for this to ever pull back, even with cutting right to the edge. It is rolled around still, but it's not rolled around like 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch. It's pretty much cut right on the edge. Durability wise, as long as you clean your surface area properly and you're not overstretching the film, you should be totally fine. So we're going to go over here now. We're going to finish off these corners here. So again, I stretch it around this corner right here. And I'm going to finish trimming the excess film that runs this way. And then around the corner. Sorry, I'm in the way. So again, back side of the blade on the edge. So I'm going to come out a little bit before I get to this corner because I want to do this corner properly. I want to leave a little more on the top than the bottom. I'm going to finish trimming off the door right now. So let's get this piece out of the way up until about here again. So I'm going to start about here. Back of the blade on the back of the door or dead center. And we have to be careful with this because part of the door actually sticks out underneath this crevice. So we don't want to cut too deep. So I'm going to take this, lift it off, and trim off the excess. What I can do now is open the door, which gives me a bit of space to work with. We can, again, pre-stretch right around there. I'm going to post heat everything right after this, okay? We're always going to post heat, especially the corners. I'm going to take the back of my blade, cut off very, very close. Again, right around to the other side. Voila, that part is finished. So we haven't done the vent area yet. We don't need to wrap excessively inside here. So what you can do is either run your blade on this edge or leave a little bit extra. I'll leave a little bit extra, trying to keep the cut nice and uniform, using my fingers as a guide. My fingers are very dirty, I'm sorry. They look horrible right now. So I'm adding tension up here with my other hand, so that makes this cut nice and clean, because we want nice clean cuts all the time, even when they're hidden. Still pulling, still adding tension on the film. We don't really need a lot of heat here. So no paint was harmed during this whatsoever. That grill can now go back into that area. I'm going to grab the heat gun quickly and finish this up. Post heating everything. Open the door a little bit more here, so I can get my fingers right in there. We go over a little bit at a time, kind of more pushing in, then sliding your finger down it, because we want to hide areas like this around the other side, because these will crease. I've actually created a minor crease down here, so I'm going to fix that. That's better. Push, 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 push it around. And we're all good over there. Finish up over here. Under here we don't have to worry about too much of a post heat, but I'll add a little bit. I'll finish up this corner over here. I'll go around all of this before I cut off these two corners right here. Sometimes we have to use the hard edge of the squeegee, especially with this fender being so thin. You can see how thin it is. Look at this, I can just push it. This is metal. This is actually aluminum. So if you have a Mustang, guys, this is the perfect video for you, because the new Mustangs, their front fenders and the hoods are all aluminum. So you notice I push in and down. All right, lovely. We have one little bit here to cut off. And then we're all finished. I'm pulling the film up because this is actually on the paint and I don't want to cut the paint. Even though this piece is going to be under the bumper, because the bumper comes up to here, I still don't want to be cutting the paint. Some people will be like, whatever, it's under the bumper, no one's going to see it, but I care, you should care as well. And sorry that the fender section is going to be in two parts. I'm going to put them together, but anyways, that's it. So this is how you wrap a fender. This is kind of an overly sized fender, but this is an aluminum fender, so no magnets involved. A little bit more difficult as far as that goes, being able to remove the backing paper. If you want to see more of this vehicle, please subscribe. For those of you who are subscribing, thank you for following. And you want to see any other new cars come up, so we've got some really, really cool projects on the go. Please hit the subscribe button. Anyways, thank you everyone. Christian here. Take care.